3, 2, 1. Hey Pokemon trainers and gym leaders, today I thought we'd do something a bit different. I'm going to answer the age-old question of can you buy a lower graded slab, crack it, clean it, and then resubmit it and achieve a higher grade? Let's get into it. So the card we are going to be using for this experiment is the Radiant Eevee Sword and Shield Pokemon Go promo from the Radiant Eevee Premium Collection box. I mean, I absolutely love these Radiant cards. I love the sort of hollow, how it's like crisscross. And I mean, this card is absolutely beautiful. I'll pop the subgrades up on the screen now, and it's got perfect 10s all round apart from on the surface. I went out and purchased the grading report for this that I'll flash up as well, that shows that there are 3 primary points of interest located sort of here, here and here on the card. So what we're going to do before we even get into cracking this slab is I'm going to put it under my microscope just to see if this is actually something that we can fix realistically. So as we could see on the grading report, there are a few sort of impact marks, and I think I've managed to pinpoint where they are. So if I just get this a bit more in focus there. There seems to be a bit of a sort of like darkness issue around here. There's not too much that I can see up in this corner where there was apparently a mark, but it may just be some of this like dust that's actually on the card itself, not on the slab. Then when we sort of move into the Pokemon logo itself, as you can see here, there's just a little bit of a mark on in the yellow. So again, that should be super easy to clean off. And then there was one other mark in the sort of bottom area of this card, which again I believe is just some dirt, as you can see there, that black mark. So I am fairly confident that just by giving this a bit of a clean, let's just make sure that there's no other apparent issues or anything that I've missed. But I mean, all in all so far, it looks very sort of promising that we may have a good result with this card. So very excited to get this one open. Yeah, there's a little bit of like spotting within the Pokeball itself, but again, nothing that shouldn't just easily clean off. Maybe a bit on the logo again there in the logo, but none of this is immediately screaming that there's any like major issue. Yeah, maybe in the end as well. So actually, yeah, I think that hair on the, that was just on the slab. Yeah, I think we're in for a good shot. Let's get this bad boy open and take a closer look at the card itself. Now this will without a doubt be the most stressful part of the break-in and restoration experience. So to get this open, I'm going to use a set of pliers just so I can nip the corners, a very small flathead screwdriver so I can get into the slab and just pop it open without hopefully doing any more damage to the card, and a giant sandwich bag just to try and catch any of the plastic and also protect myself. So let's see how far we go with this. And quick disclaimer, don't attempt this unless you're 100% confident or are willing to risk damaging a card, because I mean, thankfully this isn't super expensive and I got it for the purpose of this video. But if you're thinking of doing this with any of your collectibles, please exercise super caution. I'm just doing it for a bit of fun as an experiment, and even if it doesn't work out, this card will just go into my binder, as I think it is a stunning one and I do love these Radiant cards. So just a bit of a word of warning for you there. But without further ado, let's get this bad boy open. So you're going to open up the bag, get the card in, take the pliers, and I'm just going to ever so delicately try and crack open the corner. So that's exactly what we're hoping for there, just trying to take that corner off. If I can get the focus right. Take that corner off so that I can try and get the screwdriver in. I think I need to get a little bit more in, but I'll try and replicate that on the other corner as well, and hopefully this should just pop right out, all being well. So let's get onto this corner as well now. Again, please don't don't do this yourselves. I'm just willing to take that risk on this one. If you get like really side on with it, you can kind of, yeah, like I've just done there, sort of pop a bit of it off. Actually, I think that's going to give us quite a nice little entry point into the card. So now I'm going to take my flathead and just ever so lightly work it in. You want to make sure that you don't go like gung-ho at this step, because you can easily like get straight through and then end up just scraping the card. The ideal scenario here would just be to get a complete sort of lift so that I can just pop the card out instead of having to sort of work it or like push it against anything. We are so close. Beautiful. So I think that was a success. Let's have a quick look at the card itself. Absolutely beautiful card, that. Again, love this style of sort of crisscross hollow. Very nice. And the back of the card as well. Oh yeah, it looks like there's a bit more of a sort of impact mark up here if I can get the light to catch it. But again, what I'll do is I'll give this card a clean, see how we get on, and then I can look at removing any of the dents if I think it needs it. So probably give it a quick clean and then run it under the microscope again just to see how much sort of damage there is left over, or if it was just sort of actual grime and stuff on the surface, and then we can look at getting it packaged up for resubmission. So let's see. Oh, actually, I think I've just found, yeah, there is a slight hole there. Don't know if the camera will pick it up. Might have to get a microscope back out on it. But just here on the very corner of the Pokeball, there's an ever so slight dot, which again, very minor thing, so should be relatively easy to fix up. But again, we'll give this a clean first and then we'll take it from there. And now comes my favourite part, the actual cleaning of the card itself. So for this, I'm going to put a microfiber cloth down just so that I've got a very clean neutral surface to work from. The front of the card looks immaculate in all honesty, so I don't know that I'll do too much on it. I may just work on the back of the card to start with, and then we'll see if we need to just touch up anything on the front afterwards, or remove any sort of like dust particles that may have come whilst I was removing the card from the slab or in the actual cleaning process itself. So I'm going to gently put this face down. For this, I'm going to be using some of Collectibles Mirror Coat alongside a cotton bud and a more precision swab if needed, and also a miniature microfiber pad. Again, this is just so that I can wipe off any solution and debris. So first things first, I'm just going to give the card a very quick dry wipe. Again, you don't want to be putting much pressure on this at all, almost like glide it over the surface, because you're not actually trying to remove anything that's stuck to the card. Just brush something that's on the surface of it away. So now that I've got that nice and just delicately sort of wiped over, I'm going to open up my mirror coat. And with this stuff, a little really goes a long way. So I'm literally just going to ever so slowly and gently dip the cotton bud into the solution and drain off any of the excess. Whenever you're cleaning cards, like please, a little goes a long way. You really don't have to use a lot. You want sort of just a little bit of, not even like moisture, just sort of like a little bit of dampness. And again, I'm just going to wipe away some of that onto the microfiber as well, just so that I don't risk any sort of water damage of the card as well. Now I'm just going to give a very light surface rub, and again, you don't want to be putting too much pressure on this. Again, just really massaging it in, making sure that you get like a nice even coverage. I'm barely even pushing down on the card with the cotton bud. I'm just doing enough so it's gliding over, and if it hits any points of resistance, then you know that's where you've got a bit of debris or something you need to clean off. So with Mirror Coat as well from Collectibles, you don't want to use too much of it or leave it on the card for too long. So now that I've given it that quick wipe over, I'm just going to ever so gently wipe off the solution and buff out everything, just so that we can get an idea for what we're working with and how the back of the card's looking now. As you'd seen in the previous part of this video, there are a couple sort of like blemishes or little dirt spots. So now that we've given this a clean, let's have another little look and see what we can see. So this part of the card, there's still that tiny little mark if the camera will pick it up, but overall it looks a lot better. I think we've completely fixed whatever little issue was in this corner here, so that's really nice to see. I think the only bits that are now holding it back are going to be this little bit up here, and then this little mark on the edge of the Pokeball. But all in all, very happy with that. And as a tester card, pretty happy. I'm going to give this one more go over, and I might use the precision tool just in case that this is something that's sort of ingrained, but I think it's more than likely going to be an actual sort of like surface mark / dent rather than a bit of debris. So for this, again, same process, going to take my fine point applicator, going to just dip it very gently into the mirror coat solution, and again, you really don't need to use a lot or use much pressure because this is so fine, and obviously it's rigid plastic all the way through it. If you push too hard, you could actually end up scratching the card. So I'm just going to gently rub it over these major sort of surface areas. Again, just to get a bit of an idea as to what we're working with, whether or not it's something that can be easily fixed, if it's just debris or if it is actually damage to the card. So again, just going to focus on this upper corner here, and then also on this part of the Pokeball here. As I'm rubbing over the card, I can start to feel like a little bit of sort of resistance, which to me suggests debris, which could actually be the best sort of case scenario here. So again, giving it a quick wipe, and now I'm just going to buff it out and see what we're left with afterwards. Now if we take another little look, this up here looks like it's largely been reduced. And then in the Pokeball itself, if I can get the light to just catch it there, you can see that there's a tiny little indent, which again, no major cause for concern. I will show you the next step in the restoration process here to improve that surface, but overall, I'm quite happy. That one as well looks a little bit indented. And let's see if we can catch anything down here. I think we've fixed the issue that was down here, so it's a third of the way there, which is nice. So let's move on to the next step of the restoration of this beautiful Radiant Eevee. If you made it this far, please let me know by smashing that like button, dropping a comment down below, or even subscribing to my channel. We are getting so close to my next goal of 150 subscribers, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Thanks. Now up next is actually my favourite part of any restoration. So what I'm going to do is actually start to clamp this card down, but first you need to apply some moisture. So what you need is 2 glass sheets or acrylic. I've literally just got these out of a photo frame. 2 pieces of black foam, and also some card spray. Now this is one that I've actually made myself, and it is only distilled water and the tiniest amount of isopropyl alcohol. This is just so that you can apply some direct moisture into the card, and it helps to sort of free up the creases that you see. Again, I wouldn't recommend doing this if you're not 100% confident or happy to. This is something that I've just played about with myself on some cards in my personal collection. I wouldn't say that there's a sort of strong ratio you need to use or one that I found works better than another. I sort of just go by look and feel, and you need a hell of a lot more distilled water than you do isopropyl alcohol. So I like to get it and put it into one of these mist diffusers. And all you're going to do is take the card that you're working on, lay out your pad, and from about sort of 30 centimeters, maybe a bit more away, you just want to give it a couple of sprays. It doesn't need to be drenched. You just need to have a little bit of a glisten. Like if you were to run your finger over it, you can sort of see where it started to like smudge ever so slightly. Now, because the back of the card has more of the issues than the front does, I'm going to repeat the process, but on this side, I'm actually going to use 3 sprays just so that I get a bit more coverage on the areas that are affected, as we saw up in this corner and on the Pokeball. So again, from the same sort of distance away, 1, 2, 3. Again, just going to make sure that's got a nice little bit of coverage and that this card is like as dry as it can be. You don't want it to be too dry, so I'm just going to, too damp, sorry, so I'm just going to give that a little wipe over. And then what you want to do is, when you've got such like targeted and isolated bits of damage on a card, you want to make sure that you then apply the tiniest bit of direct hydration and moisture to the card. So again, I'm just going to take a cotton bud that I've dipped into my cleaning solution, and I'm just going to ever so slightly dab the affected areas. Again, you don't want much, you just want a little bit of visible residue. We can get the focus, there we go. just a tiny bit of visible moisture, just so that we know when this gets clamped, the key areas that are affected are just going to get that little bit of direct hydration, which then allows the card to sort of not swell up, but it frees up the card stock, and it just allows you to work on these dents. So now I'm going to take this, set it onto the card directly, and apply some clamps for even coverage. Again, if you are going to attempt this, make sure that your clamps and frame and foam are all clean, because any dust or residue that's on it can then get imprinted into the card, and then you'll find yourself a few steps further back than when you start this restoration. So now that that's all clamped up, I'm going to literally leave that for 12 to 24 hours, and then we'll come back and see how much progress we've made, if any, on freeing up that dent. And I'll also run the card under the microscope to see if we have any progress on freeing up everything, or if there are any other areas we need to work on ahead of submitting it for regrading. Whilst this is proofing, let's just have a little look at this ACE label for the card. I absolutely love ACE's ACE labels. I think it adds something nice and different to a card and really enhances the slab. So it'd be very nice to see if we can get this up to a 9 or even a 10. If we get a 10, I would be over the moon, but any improvement would be amazing. Let's see how we get on in 12 hours. Right, so it has now been about 36 hours. Let's get these clamps out, have a look at the card and see what kind of progress we've made. So I have had a couple of peeks at this as I've gone along, and I've just reapplied a bit of moisture just so that we can keep the card well sort of lubricated, allowing it to free up those dents. Very carefully grab this now. On first looks, I think we've done a pretty good job there. Let's get this under the microscope and have a bit of a closer look. Right, so we've got the trusty microscope back in place. So the first thing I want to do is take a little look at this corner. Get that into focus a bit better. There we go. So if we look at where it was, I think we've done all right there. I mean, it is ever so slightly like noticeable from certain angles, but I think that's actually like paint removal instead of just being a bit of like a ding, which is a bit of a shame, but I still think we can do enough to get the card's surface up to like an 8, or best yet a 9, because the subgrades were 10, 10, 10, 7. We have a shot at getting it in a 10. And if we look at that Pokeball dot, I think we've managed to completely remove it. So I'm actually very happy with that. I mean, first attempt at doing this sort of thing properly. So yeah, I'm quite pleased, I will say. Let's get on to the next step of this and see how it looks in a little bit. And now for this final stage, we're going to take the card, pop it into a new penny sleeve. Trying to handle the card as little as possible here. Got that in. And then I'm just going to take 2 of these dehydration sheets. All these are is a little bit of silicone. They're mainly just used for when you're actually like dehydrating foods and stuff, so that you've got a surface that's like wiped clean and can take a lot of the sort of moisture away. So I'm just going to put that sleeved card in between the 2 sheets. I'm not going to apply any like direct weight to it like I would with say like the clamps. What we're going to aim for here more so is just allowing the card to naturally sort of air dry, make sure any of that moisture that we've added throughout the restoration process, so using like the sprays, the cleaning agents, any of that can fully dry and leave the card. And then I will look at also seeing if it needs to be flattened anymore. Flattening doesn't really affect grading if like the card's slightly curved, because obviously it gets encapsulated in acrylic. So it's not like the biggest issue if it's curved, as long as the actual surface integrity is there and there's no like creases or folds, which a slight bend there's not going to be. So we're going to leave this overnight. I'll probably come back to this in sort of 12 to 24 hours. Thankfully, it's, allegedly still like warm weather, so we'll see how long this takes to air dry, and I will do a final update before I package it up for grading. So fingers crossed, come the morning or whenever I next look at this, that this is perfectly dry. We get a great idea of what the overall condition of the card is, and also whether or not we think we can get that grade increase. For a bit of a reminder, previously it was a near mint to mint 8, so any improvement on that would be incredible. Obviously I'd love a 10. I think it's going to be a bit of an ask because of like there being actual sort of paint damage to that one sort of edge up here, but as I say, we've done quite a lot in terms of removing any like debris that was on the card, completely fixed the issue that was down here, and I think we've largely, if not completely, fixed the issue that was here. So if that just docks us down that one subgrade to a 9, and we've got 10 on everything else, we could just about scrape by. So keep everything crossed for me, and I will update you guys when this is dry. So I've now left the card to essentially dry out over about 24 hours-ish, maybe a little bit longer. I threw in a little silica gel pack that I just managed to find not that long ago, so not essential, but again, just want to draw out any little bit of moisture I can. Let's get these dehydration sheets out of the way and take a look at how the card looks now. So as you'll remember, we had a bit of surface issues on the upper edge of the card, so along here. And I think we can safely say that we have massively reduced that. Again, it won't 10 on surface, but if we can get that surface grade up to a 9, then we could get a 10 overall, because all the other subgrades should hopefully maintain that 10. And if it drops to like an 8 on surface, then at least we can still get a 9 overall, which would be a bump up of 1 point in the grade, which for a first go of it, I'd be very happy with. As you can see, the issue around the Pokeball massively reduced. That edge issue is all but gone. And then the little issue we had down here has completely gone. So overall, over the moon. We'll get this loaded up and ready to ship off for grading. So I'm of the firm belief that you can never go too overboard when you're packaging cards to send off for grading. So I'm going to take a fresh penny sleeve and just slot that in. And then take a fresh semi-rigid sleeve. Just slide that in as well. What's nice is as this is being packaged up, it will help flatten out the card as well, just from where we've done all the work on it. So again, no complaints there. Get that in nice and central. Nice. So very happy with the end result from all of this. Alongside this, I'm also sending in a few other bits to Ace. So I'm sending in the Sabrina's Gengar Japanese with a beautiful swirl. And this thing is absolutely mint. And given its age, I can't believe that I managed to get one in this condition. So super happy. Like, whatever this gets, I'll be over the moon with, because this card is literally going to be staying in my personal collection forever. Obviously the higher the grade the better, but yeah, I'm just super happy to own this in such beautiful condition and to have that swirl. Unreal. The Stained Glass Birds promo, such a stunning card. One of the best promo cards I think we've ever had. Another promo card, the Armored Mewtwo in Japanese. I absolutely adore this card. I think it's so stunning. Such a cool thing, and like the fact that we haven't really had many like Armored Mewtwo, this is the only card I can think of. I think it's so cool, and like I'm kind of glad they haven't done more, because it makes this one special, but at the same time I'd love to see more. The Palafin EX SAR from Terrestrial Festival, absolutely love this card. Think it's incredible. The Ace label on it is stunning as well, so fingers crossed we get the 10 on that one. The Celebrations Mega Rayquaza EX, absolutely love this. Confetti Holo is probably my second favourite holo behind Cosmo, so such a cool card. Incredible Mega Pokemon, and Rayquaza himself is just awesome anyway, so yeah, looking forward to seeing what this one gets. And then finally, the Mimikyu Delta Species from Celebrations as well. I did a video a while ago on cards that I recommend picking up for less than £10, and this was one of them. Crazy prices for this if it gets graded at a 10. This one is actually in fantastic condition, so fingers crossed it'll get that 10. Maybe more likely a 9, but you never know. I think it's pretty good condition, so we'll see what happens, but I'll show you how I get this all packaged up to go off as well. I always like to start with just taking a couple pieces of cardboard. So I will stack these on like so and just put some tape around it. So then that'll just have a bit of tape on each of the 4 sides just to prevent the cards from moving around too much in transport. And then the next thing that I'll do is I'll get this bubble wrapped as well around this, put into another box, into probably some more bubble wrap, into a bag, and then that'll be ready to get off. And then this is my finished article. You can never say I do not securely package my cards for grading.
One eternity later.
So I have now had the card back from grading. This is the one that we cracked, cleaned and resubbed. This previously was an Ace 8. Let's see if we've managed to improve on that, or if we've actually made it worse, which, you know, is entirely possible as well. Such a beautiful card. I love the hollow pattern on these Radiant cards, like that crosshatch. Absolutely insane. 3, 2, 1. 8. Okay, so we didn't make it worse. Let's see what let it down this time. Obviously there was the blemish on that top corner that we couldn't do too much about because it actually looks like a bit of ink removal. But I'll put the new grading report up on the screen now, and we can sort of see what has actually made the score stay the same. Okay, so looking at it, it's still scored a 7 on surface, but we actually managed to fix the issue that was in the Pokeball and on the lower end of the card here. So the big thing that let it down is the blemish that we had in this top corner up here. But then there's also apparently a little issue up here that either we caused or didn't get picked up the first time we went through grading that got picked up this time. So be interesting to see actually what that is, if at all, because I mean I can't see anything if I'm looking at it, but again that they will have used technology far above the eBay specials that I've been using, so you know there's probably something that I will have missed, but really reassuring to see that I actually managed to fix a couple of the issues though, so it wasn't a total bust. And ultimately I still have a very nice Eevee slab from Pokemon Go. Insane reverse hollow, beautiful label. I can't be too upset at that. And there we have it. Although we didn't get the grade improvement that we were after, at least we managed to fix 2 of the issues. So it just goes to show that cleaning your cards is perfectly fine to do. You can actually fix some of the issues. As I say, we managed to fix an issue on the Pokeball and on the back bottom left of the card. So overall, I'm actually really happy. And as this was only my first attempt at cracking and resubbing a card, I can't be too disappointed. And like I say, at least we didn't make things worse. Let me know if you think I should do this again, or if this is something you'd be interested in watching again. But for now, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Pokestrongman out.